Greetings! We are Fellowship Gaming, here to entertain you with yet another tale of daring, disaster, and dimwits. So please grab your favorite drink and perhaps a snack and let us regale you with songs of our misdeeds. Tonight, we were going to be playing Starfinder 2nd Edition Playtest, but unfortunately, a few of our members got sick at last minute, and so instead we're going to have a small discussion today.
They're having a case of the holidays.
Yeah, and it's
and it's fair.
Yeah, it's right around the corner, and prior, a couple weeks ago, my kids got sick, and it just went through my household, and so it happens. It sucks.
Mm-hmm. And I still have something that's just screwing with my ear.
So we're just gonna have a conversation here. So we've been playing the Starfinder 2nd Edition playtest, and the open playtest ends December 31st, 2024. And what is meant by that is that's when all of our feedback will be taken into consideration, things of that nature. And that's on January 1st, 2025, you can no longer provide feedback. So make sure you're going on to starfinderplaytest.com, recording the things you want to play. If you've played it, if you haven't played it, if you just watched us be doofuses and play it and listen to me rant and rave and how much I think it's silly, go ahead and respond and things of that nature, because every person who responds, their voice will be heard.
That's that much more feedback they're getting.
Yeah, your voice will be heard. Whether or not it's taken into consideration, whole different conversation. But yeah. So, last episode, you guys got demolished multiple times. Mm-hmm. And I took a look at it, and I have to be careful about what I say here real quick, because there are some things that are being announced that I can't tell you yet. Because it's still under NDA for VOs.
That's fine.
But there are some things that we discussed and talked about how this is stupid. This shouldn't be a thing. Is being
that
fixed.
Was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. And
but that's fine. It's a playtest.
Yeah.
You know what? Get it out in the open. Say what you got to say. Gripe, bitch, complain. Again, they'll listen.
Yeah.
Whether they'll take it into consideration.
Well, they took into consideration the ammunition garbage.
Yeah,
that was a legitimate thing that needed to be resolved, because it was why would you ever play a non-energy based weapon at that point? I'm playing,
unless you're using a crossbow and you can recover your ammunition,
which you can't do in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. You can?
No.
Okay.
No, you can't. I was agreeing with you. Ammunition.
That's
always
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Almost
That's
always
feedback.
Okay.
If I'm using a crossbow,
I should be able.
Why can I not pick my ammunition back up? Sure, percent chance that I break it or lose it, but a good shot that's stuck in someone is a good shot that's stuck in someone. Well, that's a kraut.
The only ammunition I know in Pathfinder 2nd Edition that comes back to you is ghost ammunition, and it's hilarious, but it's high level. Because it's basically, I believe it's the only ghost touch ammunition, and then over the next week it'll just mysteriously appear back in your pack.
That's weird.
At random. Yeah. You'll just wake up and be like, oh, well, that's back.
Yeah. So I know I put this on the playtest,
but not.
But reliable. I think I'm going to voice this openly as vocal criticism. But grenades. Specifically, the underslung grenade launcher. Okay. It takes 10 minutes to unload, and you lose the grenade? That's not even a reality thing for us. It's okay, you want to make grenades launchers a little different? Okay, make grenade launcher ammunition. Maybe make it a little more expensive, because it's got that powder charge. That's fine. But the grenade launchers we have now that are underslung in the U.S. military can be detached and used as a grenade launcher.
By itself.
It's a grenade launcher.
And that's what I loved in Starfighter 1st Edition, because you can get the heavy duty 12 round grenade launcher and then put 4 underslung grenade launchers on it. Because, yes.
Seems excessive, but
It is excessive, but I have a mechanic who runs around with power armor, and he only has 1 weapon slot, and so he has 15 grenades that he can choose from and fire at them. So like, it's very niche and very excessive, but it's a possibility.
Yeah.
and it makes grenades and the idea of making a grenadier an interesting character concept.
Like, I saw people were discussing, I don't know why, on the Starfinder subreddit. We've only got one person who is talking about the Starfinder 2nd Edition playtest, and everybody hates him, and I don't know why. They're all just
Is
like,
it you?
it's not me. And
Had to be asked.
yeah, and I was just like at one point they're like, why are you even talking about this in the Starfinder Reddit? I'm like, because it's a Starfinder playtest.
Yeah.
And next year, when anyone talks about Starfinder,
It will be 2nd
it will
edition.
be Starfinder 2nd Edition. Like, yeah, I'm like, we go with this with every edition. Like, oh yeah, we can keep playing it forever. And I'm like, great. No, hardly anyone. I'm like, go out to your local game store and be like, hey, I want to play the Red Box D&D. It's out there. The rules are there. You can play it. And I'm like, but everybody's going to give you a big blank stare and go, look, the 5th edition tables are right over there.
Yeah. You're going to have a hell of a time finding someone in a modern gaming store that's like, hey, I'm running basic Dungeons and Dragons.
And, like, and that's just the nature of the beast. Like, I love Starfinder 1st edition, and there are some things I love about Starfinder that surprised me that I love about Starfinder 2nd edition. But I'm like, and I'm definitely one of the people who was like, Starfinder 2nd edition is the worst idea ever. Like, you took, to me, what was Paizo's best game, and that people were just slept on because it was slightly complicated.
It's sci-fi. I don't like sci-fi.
Or
I like fantasy.
they didn't like the action system, and you know, they played Pathfinder 2nd edition. They're like, this is great. And I go, I find it like, and I liked Pathfinder 2nd edition when we started, and then as I played more, I go, it's just kind of a mediocre system to me. Like,
It's weirdly clunky. I know that's a weird phrase, but having played multiple systems, not just D&D, having played D10, having like, not Wizards of the Coast, that's a different game entirely.
Yeah.
But having played the White Wolf series, where you have Vampire,
World of Darkness.
That's World of Darkness, but
Forge.
also Exalted, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Having played GURPS, having played Shadowrun, and Cyberpunk, I'm having English problems today.
That's fine.
And having played all these different systems, I look at it and go, that's clunky. Like, I'll tell you this, there's a boss creature you're going to be fighting next time we do this. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, the stat block just says spells. And I'm like, okay, how many spells can it cast of this level? How many And they're like, well, you should just know that. I'm like, how am I going to know that? Well, it's a divine innate caster. What does that mean?
yeah.
What does that mean? And they're like, oh, it's on page 297 of the Player Core Handbook.
And that is,
Okay.
like, for me right now, Starfinder 2nd edition is in a rough place because of 2 reasons.
It's all good, Tony.
It's fire.
But the first thing is out of combat healing. Like in Starfinder Second Edition, our choices are you play a mystic because we don't have archetypes
Correct.
for the other Starfinder classes. So you have to do that or rely on like the I forgot what the base class is called. Witch Warper's Soothe, which is okay, but like nothing like the free healing that the Mystic can get.
Yeah.
The second source of healing is medicine, but like, and we do have gear to do like multiple bowel medicine checks in a day. And to help with that, however, I'm like, bowel medicine is something I've never wanted to rely on. And, like, as something has come up in this campaign so far, skills are such an important thing. Like, we were already struggling to get through a lot of the hazards because of we don't have the skills, and so we have to roll really high on the ones that we do have or don't have. And like, but if we all needed medicine to try and keep each other up, like that, we have to fully invest in it, and it has to be amazing, and it's just not there right now.
And I don't understand that push. Like, what does Pathfinder Second Edition do? You only have battle medicine?
No, it's got a lot of others.
There are like there are
A lot of focus spells.
focus spell healing options in
Oh yeah,
Pathfinder Second Edition.
It's crazy.
Or abilities.
No,
like,
were those released at
Launch.
at
Because
launch,
that's like Paladin,
Okay.
Bard.
Okay. Because, like, it does not make sense that we can't. They made such a big deal about only test the new stuff, and you're hobbled. Like I said, I'm playing a Patra gunslinger, which is stupid because I'm like, okay, because that's the only class that gets guns, and so I go, well, that's a gun, that's a laser in the future. I should be able to use it because it doesn't differentiate between advanced guns and so on and so forth. And it was such a like. I talked with the GM and I was like, hey, this is okay, right? Like, I'm not like, I just want to do this because you want me to test both Pathfinder and Starfinder stuff, and I'm fine with it. And like, it's just silly. It's just silly. I think it's very much have that fish climb that tree.
Yeah, it is.
And like the gunslinger. Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
People talking to us.
It's Tony.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's he saying?
Healing injection should be the main functionality. And yeah, he was complaining, saying that computer synthesis engineering, the tech stuff just isn't there.
No, the tech stuff has been conspicuously missing, and everybody's been like, "Are you kidding me? That is what Starfinder was, and you took out the two classes that espoused it. You left us hanging. You're not going to give it to us till late 2025. What's the point? Like, okay, computers is fine, but like, there aren't a lot of computers check, or when the computers check, it's so high ranked. Like, I think the one you guys had to have was like expert rank in your computers to make the check, and so if I wasn't computer savvy, I would have been like, I don't need it because there don't seem to be any computers here.
But part of it for me is also that it's a really the optimal way to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition and what will be Starfinder 2nd Edition is not a way that I'm used to and enjoy. It's the full session 0 where we go, okay, you're going to have someone have computers. Good. I'm going to invest in athletics, and you're going to have these skills covered. We're going to try and make sure all of us as a whole have all these skills covered because we only get to choose a handful of them.
Which is such a...
It's like what happened in Traveler, where they just give you a skill package.
And see,
say,
I liked Traveler because, like, we didn't choose our skills. We rolled, and that's kind of what we got. But, like, my concern is, how is that going to work with society? Starfinder was like, oh, no, you can survive as long as you generally the party. Pathfinder Society, no. Like, that's how I got started with you guys. I watched the table and watched one dude going, I'm going to kick in the door in every single dungeon and almost die 5 times. I'm like, okay, well, I'm rolling a cleric next week. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. Every time he played, I'm like, well, I'm going to heal you. And I'm going to punch you in the face every time you do that. Stop it. And, like, they didn't have a healer. And they were struggling. And Starfinder, you're like, oh, yeah, if I don't have a Mystic or an Envoy, who freaking cares? We're just going to tear down that door, keep going. Oh, look, there's 15 enemies. Watch me. 10-minute rest, beat the crap out of you. Dashka was the epitome of that.
Yes, it was.
But
he had some really good backup.
He did.
And there were struggles with his first edition in society as well because of Starship combat.
Oh, yeah.
Because...
oh, it was bad.
Ironically, to me, everybody loves the teamwork in Pathfinder 2nd Edition and the way it works. But I'm like, okay, but if you take how it works, we call it Starship combat, which was one of the most divisive gameplay things ever. Like, Tony hates it, and I'm like, I don't blame him. But, it was like a 50-50 thing, because it's like, alright, I made my character, and it's like, oh, did you think about what you're going to do in Starship combat? It's like, no. And, even though Starfinder First Edition is over, there really isn't a good thing for a strength-based character to do. The
Chief
first mate
that's about
is
it. Yeah.
okay, but you aren't going to win. You still need your dex-based person.
Oh, yeah.
To hit with the guns.
And so, yeah, my thing with Starship Combat, and this has kind of been going around, is it had the potential, but because it was not done enough and was not known enough, and everybody who had that first taste hated it because the DCs were all garbage and the DCs didn't get changed till later, 6 months in. Everybody was like, we're done with this. We don't want to touch this ever again. Additionally, I'll tell you this because this is the first time it happened to me. It sucked. This is all get out. When I first started playing Star Wars D20, the Saga edition, the GM was doing squares for normal combat and hex for Starship combat, and I was like, I hate it because I'd never played hex maps before. I was 12 or 13. I'd never played hex maps before. And so, I was like, how does this work? This doesn't make sense. What's a 5-foot square? And I'm like, nah. And this is super confusing because 12-year-olds don't understand abstract concepts at that point in time. And, I wonder how many people were like that when they got doing Starfinder combat. They're like, okay, so what's this combat? Oh, my stats aren't listed here. Oh, what's the you had to play an NPC the entire time, and everybody freaking hated it. Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, well, yeah, anybody who plays APs, Starship Combat, they're bubble guns. They're shield bubble guns because That's the best way to have a ship.
Yeah.
Period. And none of the ships were usable. Like,
Not anything they came
the
up
Drake
with.
was passable, and that was it. Everything else, so we only played one or two of the episodes, the scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Where they were redesigning the ship. They're like, oh, we're going to redesign the ship. And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Oh, a blade of plating, all these other things. None of the options that you could choose in any of those scenarios show up in the Azada. None of them.
Like, it kind of reminds me of when we had the election for the first Seeker,
Yeah.
and Ihu Hadif was elected, and they were like, man, we're so glad because we were really afraid you guys were going to go for the crazy options. And I was like,
I think
what does
most
that
of us
mean?
did.
I was like,
Because I don't
want
think I
the
voted
fun
for
ones.
Ehud Tadif.
I think I voted for the Morlama. And
I
the issue
did
was,
too, I think.
Ehud Hadif didn't do the thing he promised he would do. We went to like 2 lodges that had been closed. There are 3 years with him.
Like, I didn't think he was. I thought the Morlama was the one reactivating lodges. I thought,
I'll have to go back to 4 for the first.
yeah, his. I thought his was just a more. I think his was focusing on the past, trying to find gap knowledge type of stuff, and we did it indirectly with the organization that we fought against.
I guess.
But I'm like, it's not because he did anything.
Yeah.
So,
However, this new guy, Sarmak, the first thing we do is go back to fighting megastructures. Like, that was his whole thing. Let's do megastructures. And like, it's the first thing we go back and start doing megastructures. I'm like, yeah, season 7, let's do this. So,
Mega structures would be cool.
yeah, megastructure. Like that's the you promised such an awesome thing to us, and then oh, by the way, it's gonna peter out. There's only gonna be 10 episodes in season 7. Oh,
yeah.
the crap!
Maybe
I want to
it'll
build a
make it
Dyson sphere,
through.
man.
But
About Dyson spheres.
like, maybe
I
it'll
mean, the
make it
idea is
through.
cool, but the amount of resources you would need is stupid.
Yeah.
And I mean stupid.
You'd have to be a Type 3 civilization.
I mean, no, you would have to go strip worlds
Yeah,
of everything they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, so we're not even there are 3 levels of civilizations on it's what's called the Kardashev scale. 1 uses all the solar energy that hits their home planet. 2 uses all the solar energy in their solar system, and 3 uses all the solar energy in a galactic quadrant. And Type 3s are the ones to build Dyson spheres. We are 0.87 on the Kardashev scale. Random piece of knowledge, because that's what I pay attention to.
That's neat.
It is.
But I will say for things I like, my experience with the Solarian, I was like, it was a lot of fun. I think the hardest part about it was that I had to keep track of what my abilities did in Graviton and Photon because I could switch to either freely, even though I played a Degradant that focused on Graviton. I could still switch, and I had abilities that forced me to switch to like Photon. So like I had that teleporting attack. That one switched me to Photon at the end of it.
Okay.
And so I had to, you have to keep the ability open to be like, okay, what does it do now?
That seems really complex.
Yeah.
It's It wasn't too bad because I only had a handful of those abilities.
Yeah, but like, what, you were level like 1 or 2?
I was level 10.
Oh, level 10? Okay.
And
Was that for
that was for the scenario that
the
we
Wheel
did.
of Monsters? Okay, yeah.
So I liked that because usually in Starfinder First Edition, um, it's hard to value both your graviton and photon abilities.
Yeah, yeah.
You tend to like one or the other.
And you grab just another one so you're not off out of cycle.
Yeah, and uh, it's no wonder that the Broken Cycle, our uh, class alternate class feature, was a popular one. Just to go, yeah, I don't use graviton for anything. I like where I'm like I liked a lot of the graviton abilities. Um, so, but as far as attunement goes, like it's hard to pass up the free damage from photon over like bonus to reflex saves.
Yeah.
As graviton, I'm like, so Solarian was in a pretty good place. The hardest part, yeah, the hardest part was that the weapon crystal didn't affect your solar shot. I forgot the name, but
The flare?
the flare.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird that you can form your weapon, you can form a shield, you can form a flare, you can do all of them as the 2E Solarian, but the only one that gets any benefit from equipment from your Solarian crystal is the weapon and not the flare.
Yep.
And I'm like, that was just weird.
It's I've played a few ranged, and I have not played a few ranged. I played one ranged, and I've played mostly melee because I'm curious to see how it goes. And maybe it's just my dice, but I've played physical dice, I've played digital dice, and I'm just not having a good time. Like, I'm playing an operative, and we're on the third combat, and it's the first time I've hit. Yeah, like, okay, this is not fun.
I mean, that's just your dice.
Yeah.
Because I've had similar, right? And it's completely like, I made this character to be really good at this, but somehow the dice can't seem to find above 5.
Yeah. And it's really hard to test it, but it's still like, it feels bad.
And that's, like, always going to be a thing because, like...
Because dice are dice.
Yeah, dice are dice.
And, like, for me, I'm just tired of casters not being able to use weapons. Like, effectively, in general.
And I agree with that.
I'm like, I've never, ever heard anyone go, man, I had a really bad 5e game. Oh, what happened? Yeah, I was playing a barbarian. Uh-huh. And we were fighting this awesome foe, and I got really low. Yeah? Yeah, and then the wizard, he grabbed an axe from his pack and beheaded it and was the hero. And not me. Like, my purpose in life is gone. Because the wizard can hit people with axes. And I'm going, I've never heard this story. Like, and I get it. And when people talk about niches, I'm like, I lived it, dudes. I played the Pathfinder First Edition special with a bunch of other Pathfinder Society people. And I brought in my high-level fighter because I wanted to level them up. And I drug everyone else who was lower level into a higher level difficulty. And they were like, well, you're a high-level fighter, right? And I'm like, yeah. And then they're like, do you have power attack? I'm like, no, I haven't gotten it yet. And they're like, what do you mean you haven't gotten it yet? That's like level 1. You
Or
you
2.
need that for damage. That is your job. And so, like, I was out damaged by an investigator. I was at damage and outclassed by a cleric who was and they were all lower level characters who were annoyed that they were carrying me in my inept character. And I was just like, sorry guys. I didn't think I'd drag you guys up to higher level encounters. And I get when you're like, no, I want my class to matter and not be competing with others, but I'm like, with weapons, casters don't threaten you. Like, this is like you being afraid to hug your friend because you might be gay. Like, it's the same thing with the barbarians and the fighters going, oh, we love touching spears. And, like, the wizard is like, hey, anybody want to touch my staff? And they're like, ew, no. Like, it's that same fear to me. I'm like, nobody is going to care. But...
And yet the funniest thing I have to say regarding first edition Pathfinder, when we started our core, you were in my group.
Mhm.
And do you remember the wizard we had in our group?
Mm,
The character's name was Bobbert the Magpie.
Oh, that sounds super familiar.
And he built the character, he built the wizard around using Mage Hand.
No, I don't
Not
recall this
not
one at all.
not Mage Hand, but his ability to use his throw things.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he had a bastard sword. That's what it was for. Because it doesn't specify what you throw. So, yeah, what did he do? Like, throwing my bastard sword at him. It was silly because it's like, this dude is doing as much damage as my fighter, but he can do it at range, at will, with a bastard sword.
And, like, when we played Fall of Plaguestone, like, I had my sprite fighter, and we were fighting the first boss, which, if you ever play Fall of Plaguestone, you will not figure out who the first boss is, because you're going to be like, that guy cannot be that threatening. He is, and that's why no one has ever stopped him.
I don't remember who
It's
it
like
is.
the mule from Foundation.
He's basically the town bully. And everybody's like, oh, don't mess with that guy. And we're like, yeah, we've heard that before. And you're just level 0 NPCs, and he's like a level 1. And it's like, oh no, he's the boss. Like, he's like literally like a level 3 fighter or something. And you're just like, oh, this is why nobody stood up to him. Because, yeah, he nearly kills entire parties. But, like, we were fighting, and our friend Krista had a orc wizard with a great axe, and used a focus ability to just toss it, crit him, and killed him. And I'm like, I was not sitting there going, how dare you? Like, that was my job as a fighter. I was supposed to be the one to win with the weapon. I'm like, no, I'm just like, hey, we won.
See, and I don't know where this comes from. That's the weirdest part. Is I was in a Starfinder First E game, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, I don't want my operative to have all the skills, because then I'd feel like I'm overshadowing someone else." Excuse me. And I'm like, there are multiple scenarios in Starfinder where they're like, multiple people have to make this check or you fail. Stop that. Stop going, well, I don't want to overshadow. No. Get every dang skill you freaking can. Because it's not oh, this is my job. This is I'm part of a team, and we need to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will say that the Starfinder First Edition operative was ridiculously skilled
Yeah.
because,
And in ways overpowered.
like,
Mechanic was not far
The-
behind.
because the
I
class
mean, once I got
said-
my Technomancer to 20, she could do stuff. That was terrifying.
like, but skill-wise, it says 8 plus your intelligence, but because of your specialization, it's 10 plus your intelligence. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a lot, guys.
And
Like,
if you were like a Lashunta or a human, you've got skills.
and
Yeah.
but also for me, like, Tony was like, we can all agree with that, Brian. But the for me, like, I only saw problems when people were making Dex intelligence-based operatives, and then people were competing with skills and going, no, I'm actually better at computers than the mechanic type of stuff. And
And the only way I got around actually beating the operatives in computers was I was a Technomancer. So I literally pumped my intelligence as high as I could.
yeah, but it's also that for whatever reason, almost every class that gives insight bonuses in Starfinder First Edition goes at a certain rate, and then operatives get faster. It's the same number, but they get a little bit quicker
Yeah.
than everyone else. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
well,
and
they
that-
start off with a +3.
Well-
and then it just
well, from the skill focus.
yeah.
But like, just from Operative's Edge,
Yeah.
like that. It's not that Operative's Edge is amazing. It's just that because of the number it gave, it was amazing because it went faster than Techlore or the mechanics or the like even the mystics. Like a mystic gave at the end a +7 to their chosen skills, which was higher than any other class. But that that little bit of I get my operative's edge sooner than everyone else helped make people go, oh, well, I can't compete with that. But from my experience, I was like, I only see it when you focus intelligence on the operative. I go the wisdom and charisma based ones. Like, I don't see anybody going, oh man, Mick was so much more deceptive to me. I'm just so sad. And I'm like, nobody said that to me.
Like, maybe it's the autism. And I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand, like, okay, I have a level 6 Vanguard that has 130 hit points. I was in a scenario where someone's like, that's more than my stamina and my hit points combined. I'm like, hey, that sucks. Just stand behind me. I'll take the hit. Like, they're not like, oh no, why do you have all this hit points? Well, I'm Constitution based and I've got a +6 Constitution. That's freaking why. And I took toughness. Why? Because I did.
And, like, I think it was also that the other skill-based class, the Envoy, like, also
Is
could...
the Envoy a skill-based class?
Yeah, they're
It
8
more than
plus
most
skill.
of the others.
Oh, I just...
Envoy, first edition Envoys are 8 plus skills.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Okay.
And, but their deal is they don't shine as much because, I forgot the name of it now, but little die they add.
Oh, yeah, expertise die.
The expertise
1d6,
die.
yeah.
Like, you only get that to certain skills
Yeah.
rather than all your skills, like the
Mhm.
operative does. But I'm also like, yeah, but at the end, you can have an absurd number of rerolls,
Yeah.
and you roll like, I think it's 2d12 if you want at the end for your expertise die. And I'm like, unequivocally, like, even if you start just focused on charisma as an envoy, like you should, like, you put some points in intelligence as you level, and you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I can do amazing things with computers with the highest insight bonus ever. But, like, I also just, I don't know what it was about Starfinder First Edition, but even though I knew some of the DCs were really high and it really helped having those insight bonuses, I'm like, I never felt like if I invested in the skill that it was useless. And that could also just be that we had no limit on, except for what the GM said, on aid. So, and they all stacked. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, well, you know,
You have
I'm
30
not
people.
good at these skills like you are, but I can aid everyone. And
Yeah, it was basically, well, I can certainly roll a 10.
and then other thing I like so far, I enjoy the operative immensely. I enjoy the variety of the different types of play.
I think watching you play the operative, that no one should ever choose the striker. Like, just from like watching a lot of the things going down, the class just does not work with melee. It it has some like, oh, here's some cool things, but for the vast majority it goes, no, 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 you need to be wielding a gun.
And like I think the main I think Kono works really well. He competes well damage wise with my operative. And like, you know, I enjoy that my operative is like point blank pistols, and the bonus I get is I get to maximize the damage die to incentivize me to do it, because otherwise it's a bad idea. Because I don't flank with a range attack, and so I'm like, I don't get that more likely to crit chance that a melee one would have. So the melee one gets to shine. But I'm also like, I could have been much more mobile. No, it's fine. I got
Thank
this.
you.
Thank you. I could have been much more mobile, but I I was I was like, I don't think anyone's taking the healing options for our game, so I have to take the Bard dedication and get him a healing up as an
I mean,
easy...
I was trying to do healing with this guy, but
Well, I know, and I don't blame you for it. It's just
I
like
had
said,
I have one option, soothe, and I have so few spell slots that I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's not worth the spell slot.
half the time, no.
and like, and that's
And give me some time to talk about being a caster too.
Okay.
yeah. But so far the operative to me is one of the most complete class experiences. where my impressions running you guys through with your soldiers, I was like, oh, if you do area fire, its life is great unless you're against a high dex enemy. And then you just want to shoot normally, and then it takes some of the magic out of the class. And, like, I know you purposely didn't pick a weapon, but I was also like, I don't know how much more different it would have been if you had picked a weapon. Partially because we were low level, 1 to 4. But also because it just didn't feel like the class had that in mind, where I did feel like the operative was like, alright, we're going to make a few different types of weapon using characters that focus on sniper rifles or pistols or melee. And
Are sniper rifles even really a thing in this?
yeah, they are.
They are.
No. I mean, can you feel like a sniper in this, like you could in
No.
first?
Well, I would say that it always depends, because like, when most people, I think, talk about sniper rifles, they're like, alright, I just want to shoot something and it dies. Because that's the magic power of sniper rifles.
One shot, one kill garbage.
And
Well, I mean, that's literally the sniper's motto.
Correct.
One shot,
Yes.
one kill.
But
Not,
doesn't.
well, I shot him at 2 miles and he didn't fall over and die. No. I shot him at 3 miles, he fell over and died, and his friends ran pissing themselves.
I mean, if you can shoot anything at 3 miles, good job on you.
It's been beaten.
I know. I'm just saying, I can't do it.
In Ukraine.
Yeah.
So
But,
Ukrainian now holds the longest kill with a sniper rifle.
that's
And it's
also-
over 3 miles.
And it's also because we're playing a game,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if we wanted that sort of realism of like, you know, anytime you take damage, there's just like a 70% chance that it's going to be fatal and you'll die. I go, that's not this game. And that's why sniper
And I understand
experiences
that,
don't.
but I might look at it and be like, okay, if you are taking the dedications to be a sniper,
Mhm.
I feel like your first shot should knock a minion clean out of the fight.
Well, let's talk
Not
about...
necessarily a boss, but the boss should be like, oh,
Well, that's
where did that come from? Not, oh, they
the way
shot
of
me.
the sniper. For the gunslinger does that. My first shot does an extra die or whatever.
Yeah, I
So-
know.
And
It does it in Pathfinder 2e. They need to implement it correctly
I don't think it'd be legal in society.
again. No, I'm pretty sure that's what Anthony's gunslinger is in society.
No, I'm
His
saying like
halfling.
in 2E.
Yeah.
Starfinder 2E. I don't think it'll be legal in Starfinder 2E because it's just not the
What
feel they
I'm
want.
saying is it needs to be done correctly for Starfinder 2e because that is what a sniper is.
it was like,
That is literally the motto of snipers. One shot, one kill. But they're not level 1 people.
No,
You
they
don't
are
walk
not.
into the army and go, I want to be a sniper. And they're like, here's your sniper. No. It is years of proving yourself and then going to sniper school.
like operative does pretty good because of the aim mechanic.
Again, they have the mechanic. It needs to be translated over to soldiers who want to do that.
It's understandable.
And I'm not saying, oh, give them sneak attack at level. No.
Right.
Maybe make an
Mhm.
archetype.
Did you have anything else about the operative?
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just like, Well, what does a sniper operative do? Because I never really looked at it.
Because, I mean, that's what I built the sniper in. Sniper Soldier in first edition.
Yeah.
I
it
was
worked very
never
well.
any more dangerous than anyone else, and I never really played her as a sniper much.
Hmm.
She was just a soldier
With a
that
really
stayed
big
in the
gun.
back with a big gun. That's it. And I think it surprised people. You have stealth? I'm a sniper. Of course I have stealth. Oh, soldiers don't get that. I had to take things to give it to me. But yes, I am trained in stealth.
Did you have anything else, Brian, or we can continue on with casters?
No, I think that's about it.
I just want to make sure you have
Okay.
your ability to say
Yeah.
your piece.
All right, so the
Casters.
one person who was probably competent at knowing how to play his class as a caster. Sorry, Fred, I'm throwing you under the bus.
Hey, I was not competent at playing my soldier.
I think everyone will agree. Okay, Fred played a caster. He barely understood it. I worked really hard to try and understand how to do the Witch Warper. The Paradox Field. I don't like that you have to concentrate on it in the beginning.
Okay. Is there
I
a
mean,
point in time where it no longer has to be concentrated
That you can get a feat
Okay.
at higher
Feat.
levels.
Okay.
Higher levels. I could look it up. I don't feel like it right now. But yes, there is a point where your paradox field becomes permanent,
Okay.
if you want it to be. But otherwise, you have to spend an action to concentrate on it. Or it goes away at the end of your next turn. So
That
it
just
has
seems like it
some
automatic-
longevity.
it automatically hobbles you.
It does. It's an automatic hobble. And then my best spells are locked behind focus. I get some fun spells. I had a lot of fun with the spells I had. But my absolute best spells, they were locked behind focus points.
And you only got one focus point at all.
I had 3.
Okay.
It was just not having found it in the rules because it's not anywhere easy to find.
Ugh.
It's digging.
Is
There's
that
a
that
lot of
rule
digging.
that Tony had shared?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I couldn't even find that.
It's digging. Yeah, it's not in Witch Warper. It's in focus spells. Yeah, exactly. And
So-
again, you're hobbled with 3 focus points maximum. But I'm gonna have 9 levels of focus spells. Only ever get 3. And I mean, I get 1 for every level of spell I get, plus additional ones for my paradox. They give me a total of 3 points to cast what amounts to 12 spells. It's like, okay. But they're powerful. Well, I mean, yes, but they're also spells that other classes can get. That's the thing. They're powerful, but the only thing is they're just not on my list naturally.
Sorry.
They're all good. And then just my absolute lack of power as a caster, the fact that I go into a boss, and it's like,
It's
oh,
immune.
he rolled a 12. He critically succeeded against your spell.
Yeah, that was stupid.
It's like, what point well, I'm going to go stand over in the corner there and flip the bird at him and maybe piss him off.
Well, like,
So he can use me as a hit point sponge because I can't do crap against him.
and see, and that is one of my fundamental issues with the Pathfinder 2nd Edition is the whole encounter building aspect.
Yes.
It's not good.
It
Because
isn't.
no matter what, you will
But
always
no.
encounter
Again,
party plus 3 or party plus 4, and that puts you at a disadvantage. Oh, it's a it's a wisdom based will save. Okay, you're out of the fight. What are you gonna do?
well, it's anything. Because I mean, I have spells that are will, I have spells that are reflex, I have spells that are fortitude. The problem is that some of my spells are like, well, this only affects certain creatures and does specific damage. Okay, well that's its weak save, but it's immune to that damage type. It's like, okay. I'm going to go beat my head against the concrete ground because I'm more useful trying to dig a hole through the concrete than I am trying to attack this creature.
Yeah, I was surprised when we ran the Cosmic Birthday and so many things were just immune to the spell, to Darvis's spells.
Yeah, I was utterly useless at
and
level
I
1.
was like,
The only reason I was decent at level 1 is because I actually built him with an amount of range combat in mind. And then I get higher levels and I'm like, I never get better than trained in any weapon I ever own. Ever. And I'm like,
Oh.
there's not even a feat I can take.
it doesn't go up to expert?
No,
Oh,
it never goes past. I am trained.
that,
I get weapon specialization, and it does me no good because my training in any weapon never goes past trained.
but, like,
I'm specialized. Does it mean I can do more damage when I stick it up my own butt?
I mean, yeah.
Because that's about the only way I'm going to ever use it.
What were you saying, Brian?
but I was surprised in the Cosmic Birthday because I was like, I think I mentioned it back in the playtest, but I was like, we had the same problem with the Mystic in when we ran Dead Suns. Is that the Mystic in first edition from just the core had a really hard time dealing with undead and constructs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and we spent years fixing that. And I'm like, so why would you repeat this problem with putting so many mental effects and then suddenly changing your mind? I have strong feelings about the oozes. I'm like, they weren't meant. It makes a lot more sense to me that oozes and Starfinder have working minds. Because, I'm sorry, there's no way a factory ooze makes any sense. If it can't think, if you can't communicate with it and tell it what to do. I'm like, they put, we did the first book of, the fire one.
Yeah.
And there's a ship from the plane of fire, and they just have one that's supposed to be there. And it's like, if it can't think and you can't tell an assembly ooze what to do, why are you just like rolling the gacha machine going, throw it some UPPs and hope we get something we need?
Right.
Oh, look, we needed a screwdriver and we got peanut butter rations. And it's like, no, if you just talk to the ooze, like, when you guys fought the assembly ooze in the Cosmic Birthday and there was that cryptic message, I was like, this is my letter to Paizo, basically, like the ooze losing its mind. I made that entire thing up because I was like, no, this is a tragedy. They went the second edition. You ripped their thinking mind out of them for some reason and said, oh, well, they can't think in Pathfinder. And I go, yeah, and they're boring and dull.
There is at least 300 years of evolution and genetic modification between Pathfinder and Starfinder. At least 300. More likely, it's about 1,000.
Yep.
Well, it's several thousand years.
Several thousand.
Yeah.
Couple thousand at least.
I was like, it also makes them more interesting. I'm like,
Yeah.
the doppelganger oozes. I'm like, we don't know why they want to take over people's bodies. And nobody knows. They just sneak in. And I'm like, that's terrifying. It's even more terrifying when they can think and have an agenda that you don't know.
It is.
And when you make them mindless, it goes, oh no, you got hit by a doppelganger ooze? Yeah, I caught that last week. It's fine. You just pass, like a flu.
And so, Casey, continuing your statement on casters.
Okay. So, but I mean, yeah, too many spells, and we have such. Again, as a witch warper, I have such a limited vocabulary of spells. I mean, it's like, do I know what I'm going to run into? No. But I have such a limited resource on what I can cast. And I mean, it's like, play the new stuff. Okay. You didn't give me shit in the new stuff.
Do you think it would have been easier to play a Witch Warper if you had access to PF2
I used
core?
the PF2 core for some of it.
Okay.
That's how I got soothed.
Okay.
Because I'm like, oh, okay, let me look at Pathfinder core. Okay, play the new stuff. Well, you blew it on the new stuff. Completely blew it.
I was also surprised to see so many spell attack spells, because I'm like, they are the most inaccurate attack in the game.
I mean, I think they kind of fixed that with this. Because I got expert fairly quickly.
But you get it at the same rate at 7, right?
I think so. But I also get master, and I will also get legendary.
Well, yeah, but that without item bonuses,
You're right. Without item bonuses,
like,
and that's
you're always
again,
behind because AC is scaled to the marshals.
item bonuses. Yes.
And
So if
every
you're never
other
giving
attack in the game gets item bonuses, except for spell attacks.
Yeah.
And then they also recently nerfed Sure Strike, so that was fun.
Uh-huh.
It's once per every 10 minutes, so for the casters who were like, oh, I'm going to use this big spell attack spell, it's like, oh, well, I guess I only get to do this once now, because... And people have gone back and forth about it, but I was surprised by it because I'm like, I really love Starfinder. I'm like, if Starfinder... I see this number of spell attacks in the Starfinder spell list as kind of a 50-50 hopeful sign. So my hope is that Mark Seifter, talking with people on Reddit, they came up with decoupling spell attack proficiency from spell proficiency.
Okay.
Because as much as we don't like it, the saves generally work. If you manage to target the weak save, or get lucky, your spells will do something. Not always what you want, but they'll do something most of the time. And so saves, most people in the Pathfinder 2 community would agree that the save progression is fine. But spell attacks, I go, part of the problem is that I feel like it's also the people who are like, no, I have expert weapons and I'm fine. And I'm like, well, I can't hit the broadside of a barn, so I don't know what you're talking about. But
those are also people that, like you said, they get bonuses to their weapons and can take much better advantage of off guard by being on the opposite side of the target.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get a target off guard against a spell attack roll.
Yeah.
It's literally like, well, I sure hope my fighter with the sword crits so that they're off guard to me.
Or, someone trip or grapple them for you.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm hoping that when the Starfinder classes come out, the spellcasters will have this detached spell attack proficiency that goes up at 5 and 13, capping out at master. But then will also get iron bonuses. And
Wands and such.
Yeah.
or in my version, my hope is just a scope for a weapon. It's just like, I'm just going to just hold still, and shoot the spell through the gun type of thing. And you get the iron bonus. It just looks like it, but I don't know that they're going to do that, and that's my worry. Is I'm like, we can't keep pushing spell attacks if they're just going to be Hail Marys for people who can magically never roll below a 15.
Okay, like we said, we're gonna end a little early. We're not playing a game, so we're gonna do just about 3-4 more minutes. What we're gonna do here, we're gonna do 2 minutes of Casey, and then 2 minutes of Brian, and then maybe 2 minutes, a minute or a half of me. Just what you hope will happen from this playtest, what you hope to see in Starfinder 2nd Edition.
Okay, I hope they figure out that you can't neuter casters the way you have. Because after playing this, I'm like, there wasn't anything really cool and fun that I could do as a spellcaster. I was just like, please roll garbage, GM.
Okay.
And that was the thing. It's like, even I'm like, oh, look, most of my spells, I basically need a 10 to save against myself. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, that's a
It's like
55% chance.
I'm like, I get it. Maybe I should be good at my saves, but needing a 10 to save against my own level 5 spells? I'm like, what does the boss need? Oh, he needs a 2. Great.
Yep.
That was amazing. Oh, if he rolls a 2, he just saved. Oh. Well, I'm useless. Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to see?
Oh yeah, that one spell. I said this too. Proscenium?
Promession, yeah.
Promession. Yeah, you know what? All that is a middle finger to the players. You really need to rewrite that. I did leave feedback about it. But as it stands right now, that is really just here's a spell that the GM can go,
Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, oh, I can do 18d10 on you, and if you ever go down to 0 at any point in time, you just die.
You die. It's like that does absolutely nothing against any monster because the minute a monster hits 0, it's dead.
Okay, thank you. Brian, what do you want? What do you hope to see in Starfinder 2nd Edition?
So I'd like my ideal world is that we go to Starfinder First Edition, BAB style, which means that
Okay.
every Starfinder class in unarmed and weapons, it goes at 1, 5, 13, ending up at master.
Okay.
So everyone can use it. And then I'd also like spellcasters to have that decoupled spell attack. So if we're going to continue to use them and give them a way to have iron bonuses and have spell attacks increase that 1, 5, 13, ending up at master. And then I'd like the soldier to have a better identity outside of area fire. Right now, I feel like they've tried, and it's just not good at anything besides area fire stuff. And,
Okay.
like, but I don't know. I don't know exactly. I just feel like they need to be better at other stuff. Like, maybe we just give, like, what if the two-handed soldier, like, hit an enemy with a two-handed weapon and then exploded the area around them? And I'm like, that could do, like, less area fire, but interact with other... Oh, you did area fire feats? Because I haven't done the soldiers, so I don't remember all their feats. But if they have...
They're mostly area.
So if you make the weapon, the melee weapon, also do area fire stuff for a successful hit, that could also be interesting to just be like, your Dashko shouldn't be exploding. And it's like, yeah, but it is when I hit that hard. And that could be
Blessings of
fun.
Demoratosh.
Exactly.
I like it.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think I want to see more tech. For being a sci-fi system, there is a lot more magic than tech, and that pissed me off. And I don't know how else to explain that. I want more tech.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And,
I want to see
and
more
magic
tech.
through technology is a thing, but like there was nothing. So
No, I completely agree. I mean, do they even have power armor yet?
no, and they're most likely not going to do it. But my suggestion, and I put it on the feedback, is take light armor, make it light armor. Take heavy armor as it is and make it medium armor, and then make the heavy armor powered. Because they're not going to add another section of armor. They're very much, we're not going to add anything, and we're definitely not going to take anything away from Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So as long as we can like suggest how to fix it, it's a possibility. They're just not going to. It's a frustration. Well, with that, we're going to end our chat session tonight. Hope you have a fantastic holiday system. We're going to start again playing 2nd edition, not next Friday, the Friday after. In January.
Okay.
Man, I got sneezes tonight. Okay.
We will be having a session 0 on that.
Yeah. But we're not doing that until after we're done with this.
Yes,
So
exactly.
we want to finish this and then we'll go on to that.
We'll do a set. I'll have everything.
It'll be fun.
It will be fun.
We have some-
I'm looking forward to
We
it.
have some stuff for you guys in the new year.
We do.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Have a fantastic weekend. Have a fantastic week. And please go and check out the Fellowship.